Prices are rising, but the market is slowing. There's more inventory out there, but you're going to pay more if you wait. There's so much noise happening right now, and I think what would really benefit you as a consumer is to know what is actually happening with home prices today. Everyone has an opinion on what they think home prices are going to do for the remainder of the year. But I actually took a look at some stats from 7 industry leaders and what their predictions are for the rest of this year. Real estate industry experts such as Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ivy Zelman, CoreLogic, NAR, MBA, and HPES. They were all asked what they think prices are going to do for the remainder of the year. What's really interesting about the graph is across the board, all 7 experts predict prices to increase. What's different is by how much they're predicting the increase will be. MBA is coming in with the lowest prediction of 2.7%, while we're seeing a 16% prediction from Fannie Mae. When you look at the green bar along the side, what you'll see is the average of all 7 is predicted to be about 10.3%. Now, this is on a national level. Obviously, local markets can be quite different. But the general trend is that prices are predicted to increase because inventory is still low and there's still quite a bit of buyer demand. But since I'm in the Gainesville-Alachua County area, I wanted to drill down to what we're seeing locally. Looking at FloridaRealtors.org, I pulled up the most recent data on average prices. Now, the data that's reported is usually 3 weeks out. So this is the most current data that we have, and it goes through July of 2022. So as we look at this graph, just focusing on 2022 prices, what you'll see is on average a general uptick in prices and then a slight dip in June and July. Why is that? Particularly if industry experts are predicting prices are going to keep increasing. There's 2 different ways to look at this. The first way is just looking month by month, and why did prices dip in June and July? Well, in our area, what we've seen quite a bit are sellers who still think it's the market of 6 or 8 months ago, and they're pricing their homes too high. Well, the market has corrected, and if they have not corrected with it, they're having to drop their prices. And sometimes when your house sits on the market, you might go to your market price, but still sell for lower because it's been sitting for a while. This also tends to be a time historically when sales do dip a bit in our area. Anybody with kids generally looks for houses before the school year starts. So as we approach fall, the market can tend to slow a bit. And third, over the summer, we had a lot of economic uncertainty and a lot of reports on inflation. Rates had risen, and I think that caused a lot of people to just freeze. And the basics of this real estate market are supply and demand. So even if demand dips just a little bit, it's going to affect price. But here is the greater point. Instead of just looking at the last couple of months, I want you to think about the entire year. And while we have seen some dips, look at price points compared to now versus January of 2022. While there have been some peaks and valleys, the general trend is still working its way up. And notice that even though prices have dipped, they're still higher than the majority of the first 2 quarters of the year. And all of this feels like a major slowdown. And I'm sure there are some people who are going to look at the June and July graph and assume that that downward trend is going to keep spiraling. But I really don't believe that. Inventory is too low, demand is still too high, and the thing that I want you to consider as a consumer is the fact that even though prices aren't rising as fast, they're still rising. Bottom line, if you wait, you're going to pay more. And remember, if you're sitting on the selling side of this and thinking, well, great, houses are set to go up in price, it's true. But what is also changing is the level of demand. As more neighbors in your neighborhood put their houses for sale, you've got more competition. So it's a really important thing to keep track of. Prices are set to appreciate, but you're gonna have more houses to compete against. So the main point is that both nationally and locally, we have seen an average just increase of pricing. And considering that we in Gainesville still have less than 4 months of inventory, that trend's gonna keep on rolling. So have an informed conversation and make some decisions, or it's gonna cost you. I always come back to the basics of economics, supply and demand. Supply is down, demand is high, it's gonna cause prices to go up. But another factor to consider is what interest rates are gonna do. It's going to affect you as a seller and it's going to affect you as a buyer. So if you're curious how that's going to affect you in 2023, check out my video on mortgage rate predictions. I'm Lindsey Johnson, your resource for all things real estate. See you next time.